Welcome to the Florida Band Podcast. My name is Andrew Lopez. I'm the band director at Coniston Middle School in West Palm Beach, Florida.
And I'm Christian Gordon, band director at West Glades Middle School in Parkland, Florida.
And this is actually our first published episode. For me, it's coming out on the first day of school, but if you're in Palm Beach County, but I know for other counties around the state, it's not. But we figured our first published episode should be on the first day of school, coming out on the first day of school, or at least before, so you guys can take away some things. So that's what we're going to cover. First day of school, everything first day of school, all the good stuff. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. I'm looking forward to tomorrow.
What's tomorrow?
July 4th.
July 4th. We're actually recording this a little bit early, but we are excited for July 4th. We're doing a poop beer tasting.
Yes, we are.
It's a PLC because there's going to be a bunch of band directors there, so we're probably going to talk some shop and get better. But we are doing a poop beer tasting.
Quote, get better, close quote.
Yeah. We're gonna have the Mick Ultras, we're gonna have the Natty Lights and the Keystone. Oh God. But it's gonna be good. So yeah. But welcome to the Florida Band Podcast. We covering everything you need band related, Florida band related, Southeast band related, but just two band directors talking shop, doing their thing. So let's get into it. First day. Anything off the top of your head?
Yeah, I'm just really looking forward to having everybody back in person, hopefully.
Honestly.
Fingers crossed. I would love to walk in first day and everybody's there. That would be my main hope.
Did your superintendent make any promises or anything like that? So Christian teaches in Broward County. I teach in Palm Beach for anybody listening. But has your superintendent been explicit in that kind of stuff? Because ours has.
So I don't know if you remember, but our superintendent resigned.
Oh, okay.
And the last time I checked, they were looking for an interim superintendent.
Okay, so. And
I don't know if they found anybody yet.
So your thing's just kind of up in the air.
Yeah.
Yeet, skeet, control, alt, delete. All right. Go for it.
Episode over. No. So
ours, yeah, thanks for watching.
What are they watching?
I don't know. But yeah, so ours is, our Dr. Fenoy made a pretty bold statement, and he said, unless things get catastrophically worse, everybody's in person. If you intend on being a part of a public school, your butt's gonna be in that seat, which is neat. And every county is gonna have an influx of Florida virtual kids, and then we're also launching a Palm Beach virtual for the kids who want to be a part of the county and the families who want to be a part of the county but don't want to come to school. It's not going to be anything close to what we're offering, and that's kind of the point. But yeah, so I would agree. I'm excited to see everybody there. One of my favorite parts of last year was at the concert that we had. We were really fortunate to have a concert, but all the beginners came from in person or from online, and they were so amazed at the size of the stage and the size of the band room, and it was funny watching them just adjust the posture on their own as they were super hunched over, and then be like, oh wait, I can't sit like this. Oh, I gotta be a human, and kind of figure it out from there. That was really, really cool. So yeah, I would say I'm excited. What else are you excited for?
Well, if I may, I'd like to expound on what I hope will happen. I just hope I can give the kids high fives and fist bumps and hugs and elbow bumps and
sure.
I don't think it's going to be a typical first day of school.
No, I think behavior is going to be insane.
A little bit.
I think behavior is going to be insane.
So as much as I want to be all sunshine and rainbows that day, I think it's extremely important that we maybe put in a little more effort into our first day.
Yeah.
Rituals and procedures.
I'm going to try and do the sadism kind of thing, where I'm happy and smiley, but I got a whip in my hand. And just kind of,
yes, I've developed that skill over the past few years.
Yeah, so it's going to be definitely a lot of, it's going to be, I would agree, it's probably going to be super, super different. But yeah, what we wanted to cover in this episode, 4 minutes in, is
share each other's first day
rituals
and experiences and what we've experienced in past first days.
Yeah, things to look out for.
Do you remember your first day teaching?
My very first day?
Yeah, your very first day, your very first job as a brand new teacher.
Yeah, I do. You want to start with that?
Yeah.
All right.
Just share what you want to share, or don't.
Sure. I remember the band room not being completely set up. Because I was so overwhelmed during pre-planning, what do you cover? And I remember, the band room wasn't completely set up. The lights in the room were not completely there. Like a majority of the lights were out, so it was a really, really dark room. About 3 weeks into the school year, they actually fixed the lights, and then it became, a teaching environment. But the lights in the building or in the room were out, so it was super dark and dim, which can sometimes lead itself to good classroom management, but not if you're a nose-picking 21-year-old. You have no clue what you're doing. And I was 21 when I started teaching. I remember having a PowerPoint up, but not always remembering to change slides and have things ready so kids could. And I also remember not being as active as I could, telling kids to, hey, you should probably look at the PowerPoint. Yeah, this is gonna be a very management heavy episode, a lot of management strategies, but it's I remember, and I think the thing I remember most was nerves with every class, because I was replacing a band director who, my first year there, I was replacing a band director who had been there for about 15 years. So I was very much, the newbie who was being tested, not in a challenging or physical sort of way, but I was being tested just by all their faces. You could tell. They're like, this guy is not that guy. And it was, I remember that very vividly. I remember getting there crazy early, and I remember leaving that day crazy late. What about you?
That sounds cool.
Yeah, thanks.
So for me, I remember being very nervous, pacing. I had my room set, and I had things set up. I remember pacing, and I also remember that I actually didn't have a first period. So,
what do you mean?
Well, it was an interesting situation where 2 days a week I would go do an elementary school band. And so, in that particular day, I did not do that.
Okay.
On that day. I didn't have to. So, I was by myself, and kids were going to first period, and I could hear them, and I was just hiding in the room, right?
It's terrifying.
And, finally let them in, and my first class was eighth graders.
Ooh.
And it was just 8th graders.
Ooh.
And about 30 or so of them.
Yeah.
Decent sized group. And of all different ability levels and behavior levels.
Sure.
And I remember being ice cold.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a bleep. Okay.
Yeah.
My bad.
Now, this is, in terms of band podcasts, we very much, you guys are here to learn, and maybe you guys are here to just relate.
We're also here to be our authentic selves.
It just when keeping it real goes well.
Yes, it does, actually, between the two of us. So, ice cold, and
yeah, sure.
I just knew more than anything.
Yeah.
That I needed to shut down disrespect.
Sure.
As soon as possible.
Sure.
I did it the wrong way, but I did it the way I knew how and the way I was told.
What is one thing you would do differently on your first day?
Smile.
Yo, word.
Smile.
I wasn't going to say that, and then you said it, I'm like, yep.
And I would definitely smile, and I would probably not wear the same clothes. I remember, dressing to the nines, pretty much everything except a suit jacket.
You wore a tie too?
Yeah.
I wore a tie my first day.
And
I don't wear ties.
Yeah, which is fine if you're one of those people that you function better wearing the long sleeve button down with a tie, nice slacks, nice shoes. That's cool. I don't wear that anymore. I still dress semi-professional, more business casual though.
Sure.
But I just remember sweating.
Yeah. Yeah.
Profusely.
Yeah.
And
oh God.
And being drained.
Yep. But yeah, no. So with all of that, you know, we understand that, you know, the first day is the first. Honestly, it's true. The first day can be super nerve wracking. It's honestly even nerve wracking. You know, I'm going into year 7, which is wild, and you're going into year 8, right?
I'm also going into year 7.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. So wow, how neat.
Twinsies.
Yeah, right.
I actually had one more thing. Listening to you talk about your first day, something I learned and practiced is rehearsing the first day.
Yep.
Whether it's sitting down or going on a walk and visualizing the first day, or actually getting in your band room.
Yeah, we're gonna get to that.
And just talk about your first day.
Yep.
Or talk through it.
Yep.
Helps a lot.
Oh,
Because what I failed to mention was also on my first day, I thought I was ready. I was not.
Oh yeah. No, we'll talk, and we'll talk about that because that's part.
Well,
you know, where that's a part of both of our rituals.
We'll go ahead and talk about it.
So like, you know, with you know, you want to talk about just how I handle my first day. Like the preamble. So let's do maybe like the preamble. You can do your preamble, and then I'll talk about my actual procedures for the first day, and you can do your procedures.
Okay.
Okay. So how I prepare for the first day. Obviously, you want to make sure the room is set up. I make sure my chairs are set up, and I always set up my chairs in my room beforehand to be 5 more seats than my largest ensemble. Just cause.
Just cause.
I've encountered years where like they'll, for some reason, you know, you might have an extra kid here. Typically my largest ensembles, especially my first couple years, were always my beginning bands. So I remember like my first couple years I had like 50-60 kids in beginning bands, so I would always try to have like 60-ish chairs, and also having extra chairs allows you to, you know, obviously your seating may change during the year. You might just get bored by having the trumpets over there and you want to move them over to the other side. So by having multiple chairs in the room, I was able to give some flexibility in my setup. So I always set up my chairs first, and I set up my podium, and I set up my chairs, and I set up my smartboard. I make sure the room is set up completely. My number one rule with setting up my room is something I got from my intern teacher. My number one rule is have nothing in the room, in the rehearsal space, that is not necessary. If you're not going to use it, get rid of it. Don't even just put it away, get rid of it. Like if you have no use for this thing, like if you just have a bookshelf, because you're like, oh, I might put books on there. If you're not going to put books on there, get it out of it. Get it there. Sometimes teachers...
Did you say why?
It's just you know, you want to have it be, if you want to be the room space to be efficient as possible.
You want to put off the vibe of being efficient. Like this is an efficient room.
Yeah, and it is a spacious room. You know, band rooms work better the more open space there is.
So I have a question. Okay. If you don't mind.
Sure.
Well, what about the extra chairs that you set out? Will that not be potentially extra for certain periods?
Typically, if I have when I have 5 extra chairs, I might have one extra chair in the first row, 1 extra chair in the second row, maybe 2 extra chairs in the third row, and sometimes I have a 4th row, and also percussion chairs will go back there. But it's never to where it's excess. And also when, like, let's say your beginning band is only using 3 rows, we'll stack the 4th row. So that, and then we'll stack it in the spots, because I use what are called chair squares, where I'll literally draw. I wouldn't recommend this if you have a tile floor. Please consult your custodians beforehand. But I'll actually with Sharpie draw on the floor little tiny chair squares, or like little squares around the chair legs, so the kids know exactly where the chairs go. And what that does is there's a spot for every chair. So I'll have, like, without the chairs going everywhere, the kids will stack the 4th row. And I'll have the tuba section, the tubas and the trombones will always stack the chairs if there's less kids in the next band, because nowadays my top band's larger. So I'll including the chairs, the furniture in the room is either you're using it or you're not. And if you're not, you get rid of it. Period. And you want to have as much open space as possible. And if you're not using those chairs, you stack them. Just period. And then the chair squares are there, and if I need the chair squares, I'll put the chair down, and I'll know where it goes. But the open space is more important. Have all the instruments out you need, however you want them. I actually got from Home Depot. I have some some mats, some door mats that are rubber, and I lay them on the corners of the room, and I'll lay the tubas outside. Like I'll sit the tubas and the baritones on the mats because I have hard linoleum floor, so that way they're not being dinged. I put them on the mat, and the kids are also like from day one of playing. My baritones and tubas are trained. We're trained on how to handle those instruments so that there's no slamming on the floor, there's no knocking them over. It's rare. We understand how to do it. So yeah, setting up your room is number one. That's the first thing I do, because by setting up the room, I walk in you walk into the room and it's set up. There's a different air in the room, even if it's empty, as opposed to like an empty band room. So setting up the room is the first thing that I do. The second thing that I do in my preamble is exactly what you said a couple minutes ago, where I'm talking about what I will do is I will write. I wrote it down my second year teaching. I wrote it down step by step, my procedures, and we'll get into the procedures in a second. But I wrote it down. It's like 3 pages on like a legal pad, and I will read it every year, twice during pre-planning. I'll read it on Monday, and I will read it on Friday, just to make sure that I have read it down. And what I do is every now and then I'll edit it. And like there were a couple times I was like, I want to change that. And
Do you mind sharing that with me?
Yeah, absolutely. I wrote it like it's literally step by step how the first class is run, procedures, including lesson plan for that day, which is the lesson plan is just procedures. So I do that, and that's kind of my preamble. In addition to all the obvious logistics of like making sure your rosters are set and having your lesson plans ready, and making sure if you're a middle school band director, making sure your fitting is scheduled. Like by then it should have been, but yeah. So my preamble that first week of school is very much just procedures, logistics, setting up the room. And setting up the room for me is cathartic. My wife, she always comes in that day because she knows I'm going to be there probably like for 10 hours. Because some people like to set up their room throughout the week. I don't know if you do. I do it in one day. And I usually do it the first day. As like Monday or Tuesday, we're setting up that room so that way when I walk in through the rest of pre-planning, I'm in game mode, and it's just a mindset thing for me. What about you?
So I would say what you're calling the preamble, pre-planning, is setting up the room, cleaning the room. And for our chairs, we actually create an aisle in the middle of the setup.
I used to. I might. I don't know.
We find it
it's good.
Very
for flow.
helpful.
It's good for flow.
Well, yes, it gives them more room to get to their seat, but for instance, it helps us get to the back of the room faster.
That too, yeah.
Which we find most helpful. And so we'll tape off the aisle. Mm-hmm. And what I'm going to start doing this year is also...
You have carpet, right? Sorry.
We have carpet.
Okay.
Yeah, that's actually good to point out.
Yeah.
And what I'm also going to do... Because when I tape it off, I tape off the whole carpet square. That's where the chair goes. And the kids know that that's where the chair goes, so it creates an aisle. What I'm also going to put in that carpet square with tape is the number of chairs that go in that row. Because I'm going to start having the kids set up the room a lot more. Like they already were before, but it was still 50% me, 50% them, because they didn't know the number of chairs.
Okay.
So I'm going to figure out more efficient ways to get them to do more of it. So it's more like 90% them, 10% me.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Sure. Chair squares work, man. You can do them on carpet. I love my chair squares.
Yeah, it's great.
We'll get to that in a second.
And I have an associate director who is also my girlfriend. And so thankfully we spend time, we're able to spend time before school starts talking back and forth about how we want the first day, first week, first month to go, first quarter. We will actually plan out we'll map out our curriculum for the semester before school even starts.
Sure.
Which is really cool. Let's see. As for the actual there's also making lots of copies and getting documents ready, the first day documents, first week documents, reviewing our handbook, see if there's anything we need to change and do, setting up the grade book, all that stuff. Now, as far as the actual first day, like I said...
We're getting into that now? We're ready?
Well, I thought you did some. But
no,
yeah,
I haven't hit that yet.
Did you have any questions about my pre-planning?
No, I mean, it seems pretty straightforward. I appreciate you being explicit with your printing of documents, though. I kind of bundled that into logistics.
No problem.
But yeah, no, it's I've been toying with that aisle, man, because I used to do it. And then as I got my room is not as deep as yours, and my room is not as wide as yours.
You mean like from where you stand to the back of the room?
The rehearsal space in my room is smaller.
So you just mean your room is smaller than mine?
Not the room itself, like the square footage is large, but I've got rooms upon rooms that are unnecessary. So the rehearsal space has been cut off. So I used to do the aisle, but then I found that the sides were being choked.
Crushed?
Yeah. So for me, it was easier to just condense the whole setup and just train the kids to just mind their feet, man. Stop having two left feet and falling over.
Yeah, we're also going to experiment with the more triangular setup, because if they go just straight left to right, yeah, we run into the same problem. It runs into the lockers on the left, into the offices on the right. So we might angle everything so everybody's looking inward. Yeah. And there's a little bit more room. But we're still going to keep the aisle.
Bill Castillo used to do that.
Okay. I've seen some band rooms like that.
He had the aisle like that.
I've seen people do like an L shape.
Yeah, it's wild.
I've seen that too.
Yeah, but I toy with the aisle every year. I'm honestly, because bands are smaller, because we're coming back from COVID, my bands are all smaller. I might be able to do it again. Once both my concert bands, once all of my bands got over 50, I couldn't do it anymore. We didn't have space, and I liked having the kids. I like there being a good 3 or 4 feet of space between the tuba, like the tuba row, and the tubas themselves. So that way, as they're grabbing their tubas, they're not all running into each other. But that's my own room. So for people who are listening, if you especially if you're a first year teacher or you're somewhere in your room for the first time, and you don't know your room setup, my suggestion is think about maximum space but maximum efficiency, and you'll probably end up. That aisle, man, I really do. I brought it up 3 times. I think about it as often as I do. Every year, I'm like, aisle? I don't know. But yeah, so you want to dive into your first day?
On a typical first day, the students line up outside.
Okay.
And I don't care if they've been in the band for 1 day.
So these are procedures,
or 3
right?
years. This is procedures.
Let's do it.
Procedures and what we go over. Is that cool?
Yeah.
So they line up outside.
Let's go.
They will not always line up, but starting out, they line up. And we slowly transition to start coming in. But first day, they're going to line up. I don't care what class it is. And I'm going to greet them in the hallway. And I'm going to set a timer. And depending on the class, they get a certain amount of time to find a seat or their seat. It depends on the class. And have all their stuff on their music stand and a name tag ready.
Okay.
And whether they are able to do it in that amount of time, it's typically 2 minutes. Whether they're able to do it in that amount of time, doesn't matter.
Sure.
If they can do it in 2 minutes or less, I'm gonna go awesome. I just want to make sure it's not a fluke. Let's do it one more time.
Cool.
And they start to get excited. And they start to understand we move quick in this class. And then if they don't, I go, okay, what are some things that we can do to make it go faster? It's probably just your first time in the room. It's usually the beginners that takes longer, and the vets, they know what's happening, right?
Sure.
But then they do it again. I don't care if it takes half the class, but as soon as they get under 2 minutes, then class can start. And then I start with a speech.
Okay.
And I get their emotions going as best as I can. I talk about the legacy that they are a part of, and what they're going to be able to build. I tell them how grateful I am that they're able to take our class, and how in some parts of the country music is dying. And I point out how music is a part of everyday life, and how they're going to be a part of the community. And I just pull at their heartstrings.
Sure.
I just get them really excited about being in class.
Yeah.
And then
especially the beginners.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And then I do a sandwich. I do fun, rules, assignment, and fun.
Okay.
The first fun is the balloon. So we do breathing on the very first day.
Cool.
So they get their breathing tube and they get a balloon, and we go over the breathing exercise. It's brief because we're going to do it every day. I don't care if they do it right or wrong. I just want them blowing up a balloon.
Sure.
Okay? And then we go over the rules of the class. And we have 7 rules, 7 expectations, and 7 something else.
Neat.
It's like
7
rules,
you give them soda.
Expectations, and I can't remember what else. Something like that.
7 deadly sins. I don't know.
Yeah. And then
Thou shalt not spill olive oil on their pants. Thou shalt not eat slide cream unless you're a tuba player and you're really, really hungry and you forgot your sandwich.
I actually have something about that.
Anyway,
The rules and expectations are worded in a way that we're not telling them what not to do. We're telling them what to do.
Oh yeah.
That's a little psychology trick I learned from Broward's teacher orientation from when I first moved here,
I learned that from college,
which is cool.
It's the same trick because it's like if you say, I like it, not to stop you, but it's like the idea of like, hey, don't run. What was the last word they heard?
Run. yeah, that's actually smart. Yeah,
Exactly.
I understand that. Very
Exactly.
cool.
So,
And
I sometimes I'll say run, do not.
oh, I get it.
Yeah.
That's actually funny.
Yeah.
All right, and then we give them assignments. First day assignments are get these forms signed.
Sure.
Whatever it is, information form,
Yeah.
contact info.
Now it can be a Google form.
Yeah. No, they are.
Cool.
They
Okay.
are. At least the ones that we can make Google forms, they are Google forms.
Yeah.
And then we have fun again,
Okay.
and we go into chart 1 of our rhythm charts.
Okay.
And we get them shouting and screaming their rhythm
Yep.
charts, and then they leave the room like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So that's what we're really excited about.
I love it.
And let's see. Oh, yeah, I mentioned name tags. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's all I've got for procedures and
Sure.
for the first day.
Yeah, what we do is I start the class a little bit different. I have them so the way my band room is that I cannot be in my band room doorway and also see the rehearsal space at the same time. There's like a hallway. So I'll do is I'll stand in the middle. So I'll stand in the middle of the hallway of my band room so that I can see kids coming in through the door and see the rehearsal space at the same time. I got my mic set up. I use a microphone.
Oh!
I have a mobile microphone that goes around my neck. It was courtesy of the school. I love it. Oh my god, dude. I gotta get it for you. It's gold.
I'm so ready.
It is my favorite.
However,
it is my favorite tool.
I'll ask you about that later.
Okay.
Go ahead. Continue.
So I have my microphone on, and I have the lights dimmed. Lights are dimmed, and I have music playing. Sometimes I'll have lo-fi. Other years I've just like, if I'm feeling hype, I'll just put on like some 90s NSYNC or something. Like I'll put music on, and it won't be blasting, but it'll be loud enough that if you want to speak, you have to speak over the music. And my rule, this is my rule when kids walk in. If this gets more lenient and this rule goes away about 4 or 5 weeks into the school year, because by then they're just trained to just kind of be chill. But my rule is, as you walk in, if I can't hear the music, then you were too loud. I allow them to have their conversations. I allow them to have fun, especially the 6th graders who are just kind of like they walk. We got to get on a video of me doing the 6th grader impression when they walk into the band for the first time.
I remember when we first did that when quarantine hit.
Oh god.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, it's
hilarious.
So they'll do
Put your backpack under the chair. You remember?
Oh yeah. So like, oh god, it's so
Don't
good.
even go into.
We'll get on video. But like, so the kids will do that, and I allow the kids to talk, and I allow the students to have their fun. But they walk in, the first thing they see is the smart board is on. The smart board has all the instructions. It says it's literally got it's got the agenda for the day, and I say, as they walk in, I say, hey, put your backpack down here and look at the smart board so you can see the instructions for the day, what you need to bring to your seat. Or I may even use less words, but hey, put your back down here, look at the smart board, see what you need to bring to your seat. And they'll come by, and so they'll do that. And then that they walk in, it's, hey, how are you? Task. And they walk in and they're automatically focused and doing something. They typically, the beginners will bring, I'll just have them get used to bringing their band binder to their seat with a pencil. We don't even use it on the first day. Actually, I do. That's a lie. But so like I'll bring their band binder to their seat with some scratch paper and a pencil. And we're just, and then they sit and wait for class to start. The veterans, I just have them put their backpacks down and then just find their seat with their sections. And we have I'll get into that game later. The find your section game is always fun. And that's just a very quick way for them to kind of get tight and get hyped as they sit down. So as they're finding their seats, when the bell rings, I put on a 2-minute timer on the smart board. You have 2 minutes. All classes, period. You have 2 minutes to be in for the beginners, it's be in a seat. And for the veterans, it's be in your seat. And they gotta find out what that is. And it's hilarious. The beginners, what I'll do is I'll make sure that kids are sitting in the first and second and third rows, because I'll have, the chairs set up and the kids will try to gravitate towards the back, and I'm like, no, you go there. Sometimes I'll even stack it. I'll stack the third row until the first 2 rows are ready, and I'll have kids. I'll immediately start asking for volunteers, and we'll unstack the third row, and then they get in. But the idea is getting the kids into the first 3 rows for beginners, so that way they're just engaged and they understand. You sit close to the room. This is not an easy yay. Like, we're gonna walk in here and we're here to learn, and you're here to focus, and you're here to pay attention. That culture is set right away. After the 2-minute time, and during the 2-minute timer, the music's still playing. So the beginners walk in and they're quiet. They can have their one-on-one conversations, but it's very quiet. The lights are dim. It's very mellow. It's very chill. That's the vibe I go for. Once that 2-minute timer starts, it's kind of the same thing. I pull on the heartstrings and I'm like, hey, welcome to the biggest organization on campus. We are the face of the program. We're the face of the school. Everybody in the community knows this. Our tagline for the Florida Band podcast is the exact tagline I use for my kids. You know why you're here.
That's right.
You know why you're here. And I get them hyped, and I get them ready to go. And then same thing, we do our procedures. My procedures, I only have 3 rules. And I got this from my intern teacher, and I don't even call them rules. I say I have 3 rules, but they're not even rules. I ask you to do 3 things, and if we can do 3 things together, then we can do anything we want in this class. And those 3 things are, I call them my 3 polite things. Be silent, be still, and give me your eyes. And we will rehearse it. And for the beginners, I have them write this down. Are they going to use this sheet later? Absolutely not. It's just to keep them busy.
Right. Well, it also, writing helps instill it in their brain more than just saying it out loud.
Yes. So, and we'll actually rehearse it. I'll say, everybody, let's talk about what it means to be completely silent. Okay, and we get them complete, and the room stops, and you can hear the AC.
Worked on me.
And then we talk about eye contact, and I use Jedi mind tricks of eye contact is the strongest form of human communication. If you're looking at me and I'm looking at you right in your eyes, which Christian's not, but that's fine.
Nope.
But if you're looking at me and I'm looking at you, we can. There's a 90% chance, unless you're just on Mars for some reason, that you're gonna understand what I say, and if you speak to me, I will understand what you say. So be silent, be still. Oh, be silent, be still, and give me your eyes. The last thing I work on is being still, and that gets even more quiet because I tell them. And I don't really mean this, but I do enforce it on the first day just to set that crazy expectation of even if you have that kid whose just knee is constantly jittering around, cut it. Sit here quietly, because you can't do that while you're playing an instrument. You can't. So let's learn to control ourselves and develop that life skill of body awareness and body control. And once we have all 3 things, we move on. And I'll reinforce that on day 2. I'll reinforce that on day 3. I'll reinforce that on day 4. I didn't
keep going.
I'll usually reinforce it the entire week, and then what we'll do that, and it slowly goes away. Through the school year, I really have to pull it out. So we'll go over the 3 polite things, and I actually get a little more in depth with my rules than you do, just because as long as I go as in depth as I go, I never really have to go over it again. We talk about how to move chairs around the room. Since I've got linoleum, you can't drag the chair because it's going to go so I talk about what it means to pick up for moving your chairs is a pick and place. Pick up your chair and place it down, not a drag. I have all the kids it's funny, I have all the kids drag their chair at once, and then kids freak out because it's chaos. We talk about moving our chairs. We talk about the no food, no gum, no colored drinks. You can have water in a clear container. If I can see that it's water, it's good. We talk about bathroom rules. I go as in depth as I need to, so that I don't have to do it again. And then we pull out chart 1 and we have them scream, and then we're loud as possible. And I find that by having them go from those rules, the beginners especially, by going from those rules to the screaming their absolute minds off on chart 1, they leave just as hype, and it's fun. For the veterans, the find your seat game is I have them as they're coming in. I say, I want you to sit where you think your instrument's supposed to sit, because every beginning band kind of sits in a different spot because of the instrumentation. And then, every ensemble, depending on the makeup, sits in a different spot. So I'd say, sit where you think you're supposed to sit. And of course, the tubas sit in the back because they're just depressed and sad, and they sit in the back. And the flutes sit in the front, and the clarinets sit in the, everyone kind of sits in the general vicinity, but it's always really fun to see the students who weren't paying attention to the rest of their section.
I keep kicking the table, guys. I'm really sorry.
Yeah, he's got to stop.
But I need to be silent, be still.
And give me his eyes, man. It's really fun to watch those kids not know where they're supposed to go. You'll have all 5 trumpets in one spot, and then you'll have one trumpet in the front of the room. It's like, bro, who are you? What are you doing? And it's fun. It's team building because they have to find who their section is, and they immediately sit down, and then we're ready to go, and then we go through procedures and all that stuff. And that typically, and then with my veterans, after we do that, I usually just go over the changes for the year. And then we dive into chart 1, and we try to even get to chart 2, just to get them getting through it as fast as we can. That might change this year because,
the first day's gonna be special.
Yeah, but that's my routine, and then it's cut and dry from there. We usually hit breathing on day 2, just because I make a point to just drill, all that stuff. And with veterans, we're playing by day 2. It's breathing, but also long tones. For the next 10 days. But
so that's all really good.
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask you about that wireless mic in a second.
Okay.
But I wanted to add to what I was saying earlier. I forgot to mention what I do on the first day for the veterans.
Okay.
So for concert and symphonic bands, they do line up, they do come in, and they do have 2 minutes. Yeah. But they have 2 minutes to be ready to play.
Oh.
We play on the first day.
Cool. I can never make that communication work. But
we still have students that don't have their instrument the first day.
Sure.
And I do not give them a hard time about it.
Of course. It's the first day. Chill.
Sitting there and not playing on the first day is punishment enough. I'm not going to make it harder on them.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
But we'll play, we'll breathe, we'll do a very short warm-up, but we play either something that they played last year or a brand new piece of music that we're going to play in the first concert. And they love the chorale and our technique builders.
Sure.
We will play that probably several times. But it's not a lot of playing. So we lead up to it.
Okay.
And we do this, but we do the same sandwich.
Sure.
Okay, so we play, and we go over the rules again.
And then you play.
And also their assignments, and then play again.
Sure. Yeah.
They love it. They eat it up. And I actually got that from Michael Antman.
Yeah. No, it was.
Day.
Yeah, I found that if you can communicate effectively, it works. For my school, we're Title I. I've tried that before, and I was only able to get to half the band, and that's.
Keep trying. It can also be instilled over time.
Yeah,
as an expectation.
I believe that and understand that. And for the past 3 years, it's just been everyone's there on the first day because everyone shows up on the first day. Just bring your instruments tomorrow, guys. And they go, oh, okay. And then everyone
they'll make sure they have it the next day.
Oh, exactly.
Because they didn't get to play the first day.
Exactly. And and usually if I have time, especially for the veterans, usually I'll play the music we're gonna play at the first concert. Check this shit out.
That's good.
And they're like, oh my god, we're gonna play Thriller, and then I'm just like, you know what Thriller is? And they're like, no, but we've heard of it. And it's
the speech that I give the vets is similar to the one I give the beginners, but it's more of a trajectory of the year.
Yeah.
And what I have envisioned for them.
Same.
And that I'm hoping that they will help me bring that vision to life.
Same.
Now, I also failed to mention that they're like you have stuff written on the board. We have a PowerPoint on a large screen at the front of the room. So kids we train them to read it every day and do what it says.
Yep.
So not only do I tell them out in the hallway what they should do, they read it on the screen. That's why probably after the first 2 weeks, they are no longer lining up because they know to read the screen.
Right.
So now they just come in and it's actually easier that they don't line up because it's a more scattered entrance to their lockers and then to the chairs.
That's right.
They're not all rushing to the lockers and then all rushing to the chairs.
That's right.
It gets pretty crazy after that.
And that's why I don't have them line up but just come in. I don't even think I would have them line up even if I was even if I could, my classroom was set up that the
right,
building
with your
was set up
hallway,
that way. Yeah. I don't even think I would, just because especially for those sixth graders, it's just good to have them. It's really, really cool, and it's one of my favorite parts of sixth grade is watching their awe on their face when they walk in. They're just like, "Whoa, this place is a freaking cave," and I'm like, "Yeah, it is. Go find your seat." And just like, and we deal with it.
Oh.
Yeah, no, they really enjoy it. But and I will say, especially for those, you know, if there's any new teachers listening to this episode, when you're making your management, do not underestimate what your kids can do. I'm a little bit of a micromanager on the first day, but I still allow the kids the freedom to make those decisions, because that also allows you to, one, you can trust them. They're humans. I know they're small humans, but two, it allows you to get to know their personality if you give them a little bit of freedom to move. In like right away, you can make relationships with those kids, because the extroverts are going to come and go hi, and the introverts are going to be a little scared, and you can talk to them. You know, kids who are lost are going to get lost. It allows you to have their personalities run free on the first day, while also being hyper structured, especially for middle school. But yeah, first day, man. Like yeah, those are my procedures. Is there anything? Oh, you want to talk about that, Mike?
Well, I would also wanted to mention that. The reason I have them line up, I'm able to let them line up because I don't have a hallway like you, right? But
sure,
I want them to enter the room quietly.
Right.
And so throughout the year, if I have boisterous students that come in, they line up. That's one of the things that I have them repeat.
Okay. Got it.
That's all.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's as the kid. I've never found that on the first day kids are loud anyway. And honestly, I think the veterans might be loud this year, but I think a lot of the sixth graders are going to be really quiet. And sixth graders usually are quiet because they don't know anybody, and if they do, they don't know who's in their class yet. So they're super quiet. So I get that, especially because I like the management tool, how you make them relearn it. But
it's never a punishment. Like,
of course,
if they don't follow procedure, it's, I guess I didn't teach it to you well enough, so I'm going to teach it to you again.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, so the wireless mic, here's my question about that. I've thought of that, and I've had teachers use that. I've had core class teachers use it. My first band director, when I first started band in 6th grade, used one. And here's my thing. Here's my question about it. Do you find yourself using the microphone to be louder than them when they are loud?
Like loud speaking?
Yeah, so I see myself using the microphone, cranking up the volume to try to get them to be quiet.
No, that's not how I use it. For me, band makes me insanely hyper. It's not for the kids, it's for me. Band makes like I've got mad ADHD, and I could be really tired. I could be really tired, but I'll come in that first class and I will wake up just because band gets me amped.
So what does that have to do with the mic?
So the mic allows me to project my voice without having to speak too loudly. And
so are you saying you have a propensity to lose your voice?
No, I just, by projecting my voice, that my energy reflects my volume. Yeah. And if I literally can quiet down while also getting amplification, it allows me to calm down and teach a little more efficiently and a little bit better. And I can think better because I'm not trying to move at a mile a minute. And by me calming down, it calms the kids down because they're going to reflect your energy. I've never had, it's been a very, very long time where I've had to use a mic to yell over students. And I'll tell them, like, if I have to use this mic to yell over you, the microphone's going to go away, and then you got to, and good luck listening to me. Because, you don't yell, of course, we don't yell at kids. But yeah, and there are a lot of times for effect where I'll be talking and then I'll turn the mic off and it forces them to look up. So I use it as a management tool, but I mainly use it for me.
Okay.
Just it calms me down and allows me to think. And yes, it doesn't allow me to lose my voice. Or it allows me to not lose my voice. But yeah, I will. It allows me to be a little. And like I said, with the volume changes, in literally the volume changes of the microphone, it allows me to be a little more dynamic, my more dynamic self, how I am, in front of them. So I'm not always constantly having to speak a little louder than I want to, and it's not a struggle for any kid to hear. And the changes in volume force them to listen. So I kind of use it multiple ways. The microphone, it's not like a analog mic.
No, you said it's a clip.
It's a lanyard.
Okay.
So I hang it around my neck.
Oh, like on Too Hot to Handle.
A little bit. Yeah, we're watching that show.
Episode 3 tonight.
It's the TVMA on Netflix. But so I'll hang it over my neck, and then I'll zoom it. I'll turn it up. I'll turn it up almost all the way. Not all the way because there's interference on the mic or on the speaker. But I'll turn it up pretty high, and I'll zoom it into I'll shorten it so it's right by my voice. It's not hanging down, dangling on my chest. Yeah. It's right here. It's almost like a choker. And I'll leave it up there, and then I will adjust the settings on the box because it's Bluetooth connecting to the box that connects to the speakers. So it's coming down from the ceiling.
It's fancy, bro.
I got it 3 years ago, and I almost screamed because before that I had an actual analog microphone, and I felt like a stand-up comedian standing in front of my kids holding the mic, and it was wildly inefficient. I didn't want to use a headset because then I'd feel like a pop star, and I felt ridiculous. So I either didn't have a mic or I had that mic on the mic stand, and then they gave me that lanyard, and I popped, and it's like my management went through the roof the minute I could because it works. It works all the way to the door. So I could be in my later in the year when management gets really, really good and the kids and the routine is there and everyone's doing what they're supposed to be doing. I'll usually just be in my office handling what I need to handle between classes as the kids set themselves up and no one's on fire and everything's okay. And we can get into classroom management on another day.
We will.
But like no one's dying in my school. My school is not the world's greatest when it comes to behavior as a whole, but in my school no one's dying, no one's on fire, but I'll be in my room, and if I hear things getting a little too loud, I'll speak on the mic like the voice of Morgan Freeman. and like
do that voice for us right now.
Back in the day. No, but like the voice of God will come down and they'll be like, oh God, he's listening, kind of thing. So I use the mic as a management tool above all else. But yeah, man, you should look into that. That mic is.
I think personally, I have the same tendencies as you, in terms of getting really excited and animated.
Sure.
But I will find myself fighting their volume with the volume of the microphone. So I have been training myself to just sit and wait for them to stop.
And just be quiet.
Yeah.
Yeah. That works for some teachers. I can't do it. And the thing is, the cool thing was I'm working with Lake Worth High School's marching band. While I was teaching basics, I found myself shouting because we're on a marching band field. And I was like, you know what? Give me a microphone. So we got a microphone and I got it clipped on. It was a clip-on mic right on my shirt, and I calmed down quickly. And the vibe of rehearsal changed instantly, and we got so much more.
I think in that environment that helps a lot. Because you have to shout or they can't hear you. See, in the band room it's the opposite.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at with that. But it is cool. I mean, I kind of want one, you know.
You should try, man.
I kind of want one, but
it's good stuff. And it like I remember my first day or my third year teaching, I actually lost my voice in October, and I was talking like this for like a long time. So I had to go, and that's when I first got the analog mic.
I see.
And I almost lost my voice this year because with 10 kids in the room, you don't need to use a microphone. But as more kids started to come back, I charged that mic up and I used it, and the kids noticed like everything tightened up, and they were just like, he's complete now. What are we gonna do? he's found his final weapon. And it just works, man. But yeah, for the first day, that microphone helps a lot because you can't be in everywhere at once, and being able to speak over the speakers as the sound rains down on the kids, especially with those 6th graders who don't know you yet, instills that authority and that presence. Not authority, but just that presence of like, okay, he's in charge.
So do you do name tags?
I do not. I found
that very helpful.
Sure, I'm really good with names naturally. I typically will either learn your name immediately or I will learn it on the second time, and I will ask kids, and if I will ask kids their name the first time I call on them, and I'll usually stare at them and go, Christian, Christian, and like that quirkiness kind of gets them like, what's he doing? And it kind of keeps them on edge, but it's also a little funny. I don't do name tags.
Okay.
I don't need it.
Well, for anybody listening, if you don't do name tags, don't feel like you have to. For those of you that may struggle or want to learn your students' names faster, consider doing name tags. I've had students in the past, we will provide the paper and they will write their name, and we've had to pass out markers and things like that, and then they don't write their name correctly the way we asked them to. I'm going to print their name tags out this year. Ooh. Just FYI. So if you've had that issue, I'm going to print them out. They're going to be on their stand when they arrive to class.
So that way you don't get like a both of these? Like both of these nuts?
See, I was gonna go along with you. I was gonna say, who's Bophades?
Oh, he's the brother of Socrates.
Who's Socrates?
That's why I was like, hey man, it's like, hey.
See, man, you should.
That's how I know I messed with the delivery. That's why we're like, hey man, you ever hear of Socrates? And they're like, Socrates? Yeah, no, the Greek philosopher. They're like, oh yeah, Socrates. Yeah, he's got a brother. What's his brother's name? His name is Bophades. Bophades nuts. And then yeah, I don't do it to kids, but like, you know, I'll do it to my wife.
Well, I mean, sometimes you get a Candace.
Oh no. Or you'll get a Salcon.
Or SumCon.
SumCon.
We were at SumCon last week.
But yeah, so to avoid everybody's favorite tuba player Bophades, you avoid
right.
you use name tags.
To hear the previous 30 seconds of content, make sure you become a premium subscriber to our podcast.
Yeah.
All right. That's all I've got for first day. You got anything?
Yeah, I mean, I guess if for a final word, be strict with a balance of fun, but you gotta be yourself. That was the number one. That was the number one lesson that I could have learned my first year. Like we were talking about at the very beginning, that I just didn't do. You gotta be yourself. You gotta be as strict as you feel comfortable being, to where it feels natural. And you got to be as fun and extroverted as you want to be. If you're not a goofy person like the two of us idiots, then you know the getting the kids to yell and scream, if that makes you uncomfortable. Like, and we'll talk about how we do that in rhythm learning later. But like, which is awesome. I learned that from Mike Ammon as well. But if if anything that we said makes you uncomfortable, you don't have to try it. But I highly encourage you, and we both highly encourage anyone who's looking to do this for the first time, to just be yourself. And then for those who've been doing their first day, for some people listening may have more first days than we do, which I hope you guys were able to, this was able to get you hyped up into the zone. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And I will also say, if you're not familiar, or if you've lost familiarity with Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
Mm-hmm. Just read it up. Yeah.
Takes 5 seconds, and figure out where the environment of your school is on that hierarchy.
Yep.
And be that teacher for them.
That's right.
Especially on day one.
That's right.
Especially after COVID.
That's right. And then the last thing I would say is, I would agree, if you can get one musical concept accomplished on that first day, it will remind the kids, especially the sixth graders if you're a middle school teacher, why they're there. Because they're not just there to learn rules, they're there to learn music and to have some fun. But yeah, so this was our very first episode.
And if there was one more thing that I could add,
go.
Just so that I'm the last person. I'm sorry.
So this is our very first episode. We hope you guys really enjoyed it. Stay tuned for the next episode. We're going to start talking about middle school fittings. And for those who are high school, this is not just a middle school podcast. It's a Florida band podcast. So we're gonna make sure we're gonna have a nice balance of high school content, middle school content, FBA content, all sorts of stuff. So everybody keep listening. Tell all your friends, tell all your colleagues, and we will catch you guys later. This has been the Florida Band Podcast. My name has been Andrew Lopez.
And I'm Christian Gordon. Thanks for listening, guys, and happy 4th.
Yeah, we'll catch you guys later. Peace.
Thanks for listening to the Florida Band Podcast. Follow us on YouTube and contact us at flbandpodcast@gmail.com. Catch you next time.